Thank you so much, and Kevin. And before we proceed to lunch, we have one more very interesting panel, banned coin versus non-banned coins, the future of cross-border payments. And I would like to invite to the stage the moderator of the panel, Eric, and speakers of the panel, please also proceed, Felix, Top, Sami, and Alexandre, and I'll ask you to do a quick round of introductions and proceed with the discussions.
Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. That's an exciting panel coming today about cross-border payment disruption. I have a great panelist with me today, and we're going to start soon. Top, please.
Can you hear? Can everybody hear? Yeah?
This works?
I think some mics work and some mics don't.
Thank you. We're going to speak loud.
Blockchain, hello.
All right, guys. So for the past 5 years, about increasing change to the world of cross-border payment. We all know that, right? We've seen a lot of disruption in settlement, in transaction, in fees. The trusted and tested correspondent banking approach has encountered challenge from emerging markets and technology. And today, the nature and direction of this change, however, remain unclear. So today, we're going to try to define where it is going. So first of all, I'd like each of the panelists to give himself a short intro to know who you are, guys. Alexandre, please.
Hi, so I'm actually more traditional investment and trader. I was with JP Morgan for 6 years at the Treasury and Chief Investment Office, and I worked in hedge funds before. And I allocated, part of my money in some of the liquid cryptos in the last 2 years, but trading more momentum than, because I don't know exactly what the ultimate value of some of them are. And then, frustrations with transferring money from a New York account to here, and it takes too long. So I'm also interested in seeing the technology improve so we can get our money instantaneously the same way we do intra-country, for example, with prompt pay, but I wish this would be the case with all the other currencies and intra-country transfers.
Sami from Hashcraft.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Sami from Hadera Hashcraft. I have a background in finance as well, 17 years in banking. I left that world, came over to the crypto world about 3 years ago. Worked for a company called Hadera Hashcraft. It's an enterprise-grade, public, distributed ledger platform. What does that mean? It means that if you want to build a decentralized application, then you will build it on Hadera Hashcraft, and you can use 4 services. First one is cryptocurrency service with support for microtransactions. So today we're going to talk about cross-border payments. Microtransactions is also a key to enabling small transactions across borders. Second service is smart contract. We also use a Solidity language, same as Ethereum. Third one is file service. And finally, it's consensus as a service. What that means is if you have a centralized application or an application that's built on Hyperledger or Ethereum private, then you can, through our APIs, decentralize that application.
Great. Now we have Felix from Dash Project.
All right, I realize already you're going to need lunch after this, so I'm Felix from Dash. Dash stands for Digital Cash, so we do one very simple use case in the blockchain world, which is payment. So we don't put love on the blockchain or anything. We want to get a cheeseburger or a pizza with cryptocurrency, and that's what we do. We are building up a merchant ecosystem here in Thailand. I'm the co-founder of Dash Thailand. But this is only one thing we do. It's the bottom-up approach, but we also do top-down, which means we connect partners in the payment industry on all verticals, such as travel platforms, POS systems, issuer banks. So for us, everything in the payment sector is interesting, and what we do is very simple and straightforward. Again, we want to enable people to pay with cryptocurrencies, and we want to give merchants on the other side options what to do with that payments, either keep cryptocurrencies because they believe in it, or cash it out in fiat currency of their choice. So this is what we do. Yeah.
Now we have Top from BitCup, the first regulated exchange in Thailand.
Hello everyone. My name is TopTier. I am a crypto company, blockchain company builder. I have created two companies so far. I've been in the space for 6 years now. I founded the first company called coins.co.th back in 2013. That was one of the very first Bitcoin wallets, very similar to Coinbase, but based here in Bangkok. And then now I founded BitCup Group. We are a fully regulated cryptocurrency exchange. Under our group, we have 3 companies. We have a regulated exchange. We have an ICO portal company. This second entity is responsible for underwriting new coins. And the third company is blockchain solutions. We also develop blockchain solutions for government, for private companies, for publicly listed companies. These are our clients. Now we're one of the largest blockchain startups in the country. We also have a majority partner with one of the biggest blockchain news in the country called Siam Blockchain. Very similar to CoinDesk, but for Thailand.
Okay, so I've put the first question to the panel. Is blockchain technology posing a threat to banks, currently the natural owner of cross-border markets? So I'll send it to Felix first. You can take it?
Yeah, of course. It is like you say. Right now, the international money transfer is mostly in the hand of banks. But obviously there are options, and Dash is one of them. I mean, Dash is right now number 14 on CoinMarketCap. There's high liquidity for this coin. We are one of the oldest projects in the space. So of course there are options, but the tricky part is always the fiat on and off ramping, right? Because people don't want to bear the risk of having cryptocurrencies. So at the end of the day, for now, you need the banks as an exit or an entry point anywhere, and that's why for now it is what it is, right? So if you talk to any big corporations, they kind of struggle to understand what risks are involved, what fees are involved, and therefore they do it as they do it. I was talking to so many multinational companies as well and offering them exactly that service to say you can use cryptocurrency just for saving a lot of money and to increase the process speed with your international bank transfers. But for now it's just not there yet, right? This is what I said before. What we need is easy, super easy to use solutions and frictionless solutions to go in and out of cryptocurrency. And for me, the answer there is also not stable coins, right? Because at the end of the day, you run a company, you want fiat currency on your bank account, and you don't want any kind of weird supposed to be backed by whatever stable coin on some hackable crypto wallet.
So talking about this, I want to go to Sammy. Let's talk about what Hadera has done lately with the Facebook on Libra. I'd like to know your view on it. I think you have an interesting story to bring to this panel and to the audience today.
Yeah, so at Hadera Hashcraft, we believe, first of all, we're talking about cross-border payments. So when I look at it, cross-border payments need 2 components, right? One component is trust. Right, you need to trust that this value you have in this country will be honored in a different country. And the next component is utility, right? Let's say tech. So at Hadera Hashcraft, we've been building a platform where we have a governing council that provides trust, and we have an amazing technology. We think that you need both. You can't just have an amazing technology and no trust. You can't have just trust and no technology. So as we were building this governing council, in 2018, February, we went to Facebook and we're recruiting them to come on to our governing council. And we spoke to them about how our governing council works and how trust is very important and how we are going to go from permission to permissionless. Actually, our CEO, Mance Harmon, was speaking to David Marcus, who is running the Libra project. And so last week, Facebook announces Libra, and there were stunning similarities between what we were telling them that they should do and that they should come on board with their Libra association. So I don't know if people have seen the Wall Street Journal. We took out an ad in the Wall Street Journal and thanked them for their flattery, because we think imitation is the best form of flattery.
Okay, so thank you for the anecdote. I like it. I'll take it to Alexander, who has a background in financial banking from JP Morgan, who has a keen interest in crypto. I think you're touching Bitcoin, Ethereum. And what are your views on cross-border payment solution for you? And how blockchain is disrupting it?
Well, different things. First, I know there are certain remittance providers these days who can do things quite quickly without really using crypto technology. So there are alternative systems. And then, I was hearing earlier today how people like Visa and MasterCard, et cetera, are also looking at different solutions to accelerate transactions without using blockchain. But anyway, blockchain has other advantages with the unerasable trace, et cetera, et cetera. So, I think the one aspect I see is that, banks can also try to catch up they have the firepower and then the ability to hire the right people to also catch up. So a little bit like Facebook pulled maybe a trick on you. JP Morgan, has announced a coin, and they want to use that as an institutional-based blockchain solution for international transfers. And I know the sort of clients they're intending to make it available to are people like the Treasury of Apple and other multinationals that need to do cross-border transactions all the time. So, it's difficult to know which of the coin will ultimately win out, but I think the technology is very useful for decreasing transaction costs and rapidity of the transactions. So I'm all for it, obviously.
I mean, if I can just push back a little bit, I used to be in banking, right, in a company called Deutsche Bank.
Well, we know what happened to them.
And the systems are like 30 years old, right? So as I said, you need trust and tech both in order to have cross-border payments. Now banks are losing trust, and not just that, the technology that they have currently is so archaic. So how are they going to actually recover the trust that they've lost, number one, and update all of their system, which costs billions of dollars to do at the same time? And that's why I think a company like Facebook, who has the tech, unfortunately, we don't think they have the trust, but you're going to need both aspects in order to disrupt this cross-border payments.
Yeah, totally agree. So I would take it to Top now. I think Top, with your experience in Thailand, this question is perfect for you. What are your strategy to onboard unbanked customer in emerging market like Thailand? Do you have a special strategy to bring people to your exchange or your services?
Yes, so especially in the Southeast Asian region, we have an extra 1 billion users that have mobile phone, but these guys don't have a bank account. That's Mark Zuckerberg also said that the NBU project, the next billion user project. Now they have 2.3 billion users on Facebook, but in order to acquire an additional 1 billion users, they have to think different, because in the West, everyone is already their users. And the next billion users is actually around this region here, in the Philippines, very, unbanked, in Africa, for instance. And these guys have mobile phone, but they don't have a bank account, right? So once, Libra Association is live, it is an open platform where people can build things on top. It doesn't limit just to Facebook, who can build Calibra and uses the Libra infrastructure. I want you guys to picture Libra as a public infrastructure, the same as electricity, the same as roads and railways, and that everyone can tap on and build products on top. The same way that Instagram is being built on top of iPhone. Facebook is being built on top of internet. Libra Association is now with 27 members, right? But in the future, there'll be countless, like 100, 1,000 members, governing the association in a non-profit way. So it doesn't mean that a company like us in Thailand cannot tap on this infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And we know that users around Asia have mobile phone. And in the future, we can build product on top of mobile phone and stable coins and cryptocurrencies and open blockchains, right? To be able to allow them to do exactly the same financial services in the same manner that with those who have bank accounts, like pay for your coffee, pay for your bills, electricity, student tuition fee, exactly the same service, loan, remittance, in the same manner, but without the need of a bank account. They're just shifting the infrastructure from bank account to mobile phone, tapping on digital layer instead of tapping on physical layer like what bank did in the past 20 years.
Okay, that's a good point. Thanks to Top. So this one, I'll take it to Felix. how regulation are affecting the adoption of blockchain technology to enable cheaper cross-border payment. I think you have an experience with Dash with this, right? Because today I think we're a mobile society, we move everywhere. So tell us your experience with it.
Yeah, of course, it's very, very interesting. What we realized with Dash, because we have global teams all around the world and make exactly this use case, crypto payment, happening. And what I said before, especially the on and off ramping, obviously always falls into national or country-wide regulations, right? That means if you really want to go and make blockchain payments happening, you have to comply with local laws around the world. One way is to go around and say, okay, I buy a banking license all over the place, but this is obviously not a viable use case and it's not happening. This is why nobody really does it. Maybe there's now Libra having a big association and having enough money to get all these regulations, right? But the way we do it is partnering up with local companies. And it depends where you are in the world. In some regions of the world, especially in Latin America, there are some countries where you essentially can just go to the black market and it's legal to buy and sell your cryptocurrency, right? So you can put someone there on the street and buy back all the cryptocurrencies somebody asked for. In Thailand, obviously, that's way more tricky. That's why you have to go step by step, find the right partners per country and make it happen.
Okay, great. I throw this question to the entire panel. How a customer, not provider, will define the nature of future services?
So, one thing, I just want to relate it to what Top was mentioning earlier about this Libra thing, right? So, there's a lot of people who are unbanked, as you were mentioning. And part of the reason, I think, is because people actually don't have control over their identities, right? So what you're mentioning is, okay, consumers, if they actually become in control of their own identities, what we call self-sovereign identities, right? Facebook Libra, if Facebook is going to give these unbanked people identity and thereby they're going to be able to come into the ecosystem, right? That's one of the functions that Facebook potentially can provide, right? That's a step forward for sure, but I think where we really need to go is give everybody on the planet control over their own identities. And once you do that, then the consumers, in other words, the people who are actually using the applications, would have the power back in their hands. So we're going to move from the internet being controlled by Facebook and Google and whatnot, the people who are going to actually give people the identities and allow technology to give people back the power.
So we can see a shift from traditional centralized power or banking to a community. Go ahead, Felix.
And I think it starts from identity, right? Self-sovereign identity. How do you prove that you are you? How do you do the KYC? How do you do the AML? All that stuff comes from, okay, who is the authority that gives you the right of calling you who you are? Is it the license? Is it the passport? What is it? Right? And eventually it has to be a global system where each person, all the 7 billion people on the planet, have their own identity and they can control it. That's where real power actually comes from, I think.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I love your perspective, Top, because you're kind of positive against or versus Libra, right? Where as the impetus in most of the blockchain world is kind of the antichrist of what we were trying to build, right? But for me, it's very interesting that now we have kind of a third option, which was also there in the past. We have the banking and government-regulated coins, or we call them fiat currencies. We have obviously the peer-to-peer solutions like Dash, like Bitcoin, and now we have a third one, the corporate-run kind of coins, right? I mean, that was also, it's not a new thing, right? Like look at some companies in the past, and the East Indian Company, for example, like they were pushing solutions like that, right? It's like kind of a reinvention of things we have seen before. So, yeah, of course, if you're gonna bank the unbanked with Libra coin, of course you have to do the KYCs and all that kind of stuff, right? Which obviously is not, or there's another option to still go for peer-to-peer coins where you don't have to do any KYC, right? The question is, will you solve the chicken and egg problem that somebody can use that Dash to buy, if you receive it from your, I don't know, let's take an example of the Philippines, right? I want to send my mom to the Philippines some Dash coins, right? The question is, can she buy her eggs and whatever she needs with Dash, or does she have to go out to any banking or fiat solution and therefore has to do KYC? The moment she can avoid that, of course, it's going to happen, right? So I'm not sure Libra coin will really solve these issues, because then you end up in the same problems you had before with the regulated coins, with the reasons why people are unbanked, which are also KYC issues and all that, right?
No, I have a different view, right? The reason why people are unbanked is because they didn't meet the minimum income requirements. Banks invested a lot in capex, in opening branches everywhere, in armored trucks. You know, these are expensive on their balance sheet, right? So if there are about 1 billion people who doesn't meet this income requirements, once they open a bank account, banks are making a loss on every single one of those accounts. So they will not open an account for those guys because they cannot profit from it. Remember, banks are a profitable organization. They're not non-profit. So as a result, an extra 2.5 billion people around the world are currently unbanked. But what Facebook is trying to do is that they're tapping on Facebook Messenger. Right? These unbanked individuals have a mobile phone and they have Facebook account. Right? In the Philippines, everyone has Facebook accounts. But most of the people don't have bank accounts, right? And when merchants around the world already have Facebook accounts, they can just use their Facebook Messenger to use that as a payment, right? Sending payments, receiving payments, buying coffee, paying electricity bills. They are happy with doing KYC. They have no issues with that, but they just don't meet this minimum income requirements to have a bank account. So what Facebook is trying to do is to be a bank account, a front-end customer-facing part, but on the back end, they are still connecting to traditional finances by being a cheaper, just like Skype, connecting to the, being the front-end customer-facing part.
Yeah, I see your point, and you're absolutely right? But let's take the example of a restaurant. You have somebody who accepts then any Facebook Libra coin, right? But still, they have to pay the supplier for buying the coffee. So it requires a system where everybody is already inside.
Yes.
Yet you again have that chicken and egg problem. Of course, I see the point that Facebook has like a very high chance of getting all these people involved because, hey, we have finally user base, right? So there's a chance for mass adoption, but yet it remains a chicken and egg problem, and we have to be. It has to be seen how they solve it, right?
Yes, and the
not
main
100% sure
reason why Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies are not widely adopted is because of the network effect. Why merchants are not accepting some coins is because customers don't want to pay with those coins or they don't have it. Right? But remember, everyone has Facebook account, 2.3 billion people, just on Facebook app alone. They also have Instagram and WhatsApp. Combined, they are the biggest nation on earth, right? And imagine if your supplier is already accepting Libra. Your customers are already accepting Libra. There's no point going back to fiat. Because what's the point of changing into fiat and you pay transaction fee on that? Because in the end of the day, when everyone is doing a business, money circulates. Right? You receive money from your customers. In the end, you have to pay your supplier for your next batch of product. If your supplier already accepts Libra, there's no point in cashing in and cashing out. There's a new payment network. Right?
Okay, so I think we'll see how Facebook will be able to strategize to make sure everybody use their currency. I want to bring back to Alexander now, because Alexander has a strong background in finance investment and a test on crypto. What's your view from traditional banking to that modern technology, blockchain and Bitcoin?
Well, I mean, the technology is unquestionable and it's useful. So, I think the noise of the traditional bankers is more about what the valuation of some of the coins are, but the valuation and and it's partly because it's easier to value things that have a revenue stream, right? And if we can come up with coins that have a clear revenue stream from their business model, it's a very different issue than some of the main market caps right now.
Yeah, but I think one of the reasons, because currently we're building the infrastructure, that's where a lot of protocol are coming there. I think we see the level now big companies coming on board and building. I think, Sammy, you have an experience working with IBM. Maybe you can enlighten us on this.
Yeah, so I think the world that is going to come is not going to be a world that's just built on private ledgers or just centralized applications. It's not a black or white world. I think it's going to be like partnerships. Maybe this layer would be a centralized application, and the next layer will be built on a public ledger, and the next layer will be built on a private ledger. It really depends, right? So what we need is, we need gateways from, let's say, a public ledger to a private ledger to maybe even a centralized application that that company itself runs. So again, one of the things that we're providing is consensus as a service. You have a centralized application, you can decentralize it. You have an application built on a private ledger, like Hyperledger, what IBM is doing, you can decentralize it. So you can attach trust, a decentralized, so trust comes from decentralization. That's the whole point of this industry, is that we want to decentralize things because we want to increase trust. So we're talking about Facebook, yeah, you're moving trust from the banks now to Facebook, and maybe people trust Facebook more than the governments. But thereafter comes true decentralization, where you truly don't rely on a bank or a consortium of bank or private corporations. So, it really, the future lies in tying these technologies together, and once we're able to do that with traditional banking and with our industry and with regulators, that's the kind of world I think that would truly change, even the unbanked or the banked and people's lives.
Those are great words. So I will thank my panel, everybody around the applause, and I will let you go to lunch.